So, what does it mean to commit? To commit to something? Well, I have a definition of commitment. It, the noun is the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. And also, another definition can be an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. So, I'm going to be talking about commitment, but in the category or sphere of relationships. I've been married for almost 20 years now, and a lot of times, married couples, they tend to forget about when they used to be single and, the things that they used to go through, whatever that it was, the good, bad, the ugly, whatever. But I have a heart to help people, to to give them encouragement, to just that, to help in any way, to get someone to change a perspective on things, whatever that it may be. So, what I'm going to be sharing in this video is about commitment issues in relationships, the signs, and how to overcome commitment issues. And I came across a great article on the Couple Center website. Um, and it really pointed out some great things that people that have commitment issues really need to consider. So I'm going to be sharing from this article, which I found very fascinating. And it was really spot on with some issues that people deal with and find it hard to commit. So I'm just going to be going through this and I'm going to add some of my own commentary. So here we go. Is your relationship history filled with casual, short-term relationships? Does talking about the long-term make you uncomfortable? Do you find yourself looking for reasons to end a relationship? Maybe you've been told you have commitment issues or you're speculating yourself. So what does it mean to have commitment issues? Commitment is an agreement or pledge to do something, just as I stated. It's, it's an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. So I'm married, so I was engaged to my wife. I'm obligated to her in marriage. We made vows. So I have a restriction on not acting like I'm single because I'm in a committed marriage relationship. So you could have trouble committing to anything such as work or school. In a romantic relationship, commitment issues are when a person has a hard time dedicating themselves to a long-term goal in the relationship or to the relationship in general. Commitment issues tend to show up when the relationship is moving to the next stage, like when the couple starts talking about being exclusive or moving in together. Now, let me just stop right there. As a Christian believer, I do not believe the couple should move in together until they're married. So this article here, in my opinion, is off base if going to the next stage, in my eyes, being a Christian believer, should be okay, dating, or courting, courtship. You have established that you're serious, that you want to commit. So you have accountability in your life. So the next stage is okay, we're engaged. We've set a marriage date, a wedding date, right? So we're exclusive, but we're exclusive because we're going beyond just casual dating. We're going into courtship. So moving in together, I want to strike that. I want to strike that from what I gleaned from this article. I would not be counseling couples and premarital counseling to move in together until they say I do. Okay, I just want to make that point. At that point of taking it to the next stage, the person will back away or look for problems in the relationship to justify leaving. So these are people that have commitment issues, right? So we're talking about commitment issues. So, reasons for commitment issues. Relationships are usually ambivalent. There's a part of us that longs to be in one, while there's another part that feels afraid. Fear is the main reason why people have commitment issues. Because of fear. Because of, fear of choosing the wrong person, fear of the unknown, or fear of a bad relationship happening again, whether romantic or a relationship from childhood. But, those are kind of coupled together, right? The important part is to find out where the fear stems from so that it can be managed. And, toward the end of this article, and I would even encourage those that are chiming in or listening, the issues, the fear, the whatever, that you have to find out where the fear stems from. You're not going to be able to find that out on your own. Counsel, therapy is really important. A lot of people shy away from that, but you need to have an outside source of perspective to help you to understand why you have this issue. Many people with commitment issues have a history of rejection or abandonment that stems from childhood or a failed marriage, divorce. A lot of those things can cause a fear of commitment. This causes them to be fearful of these things repeating it in adulthood or in a relationship. They may wonder how to fix their commitment issues. Now I'm going to get into some different attachment types that are connected to people who find it hard to commit. We're going to talk about the avoidant attachment. People with the avoidant attachment type are very independent. They're constantly distancing themselves to avoid intimate connection. Avoidant attachment styles will pull back when their partner tries to get close. I know some people that are like that right now. Friends of mine, they've been married before, been divorced, and they say things like, I don't believe I'm going to ever be married again. So you may fall under this avoidant attachment. And my question to anybody that is in a relationship, but you're an avoidant type, my question would be, what type of relationship do you believe that you're going to be able to be in long term or at any shape or form without some type of commitment? Because if you are having sex with someone, you've committed to having an intimate sexual relationship with them. So you're committing certain areas in your life, but yet you avoid committing to anything that's legitimate, right? That's connected to engagement, courtship, and hopefully marriage. So avoidant attachment styles will pull back when their partner tries to get close. This is a form of control. It really is. Because you want to control the whole narrative. And speaking from a male perspective, I think it's very cowardly and really downright despicable for a man who's supposed to be leading a woman is going to string her along and manipulate her into you're really playing with this woman's heart. So I got to call you out on that. You need to stop that. That is not that's a lack of character, lack of integrity, and so it's a form of control. They are afraid of intrusion or of being taken over by the other person because you might think that what happened to you in the past or your past relationship, you're putting this person in the same category, and that's not fair. What happened to us in times past, that's why therapy and counsel is very important, because we need to be delivered and healed of things before we move into new relationships, because we're taking the old into the new. And until that old is whole enough, until we're whole enough, healed, we're going to mess up someone else's life, because we're still dealing with all that old baggage. So the avoidant attachment style is a result of a childhood where the child didn't feel love or attention from their caregiver. They learned that they could not rely on others for emotional support. I kind of agree with that, but I also believe that this also stems from just a trail of broken relationships, or a devastating relationship, or divorce, or just, you could have been shacking up with different people. You could, have a child out of wedlock, whatever. You've had your heart broken. Something has happened along the way in terms of your relationships that has formed your heart and your mind to the point to where you're carrying that fear, so you become avoidant. The next attachment is the anxious attachment. On the other hand, people with the anxious attachment type are seeking closeness. You want closeness. They want an intimate connection, but they are very sensitive to rejection. Their self-esteem is fragile. Therefore, if they sense that their partner is not wanting to connect with them in some way, they might duck out of the relationship to avoid getting hurt. The anxious attachment style is a result of a childhood where the caregiver was unreliable, or the person that you were in a relationship was unreliable. Your past relationships. The caregiver's inconsistency in their responsiveness and availability leads to uncertainty in future relationships. They have a fear of being rejected as they were in the past. So, yes, our past can bring this on, but also relationships, like I said, failed relationships, divorce, there, whatever categorically that you can put yourself into, this is what can put you within the anxious attachment type. The next attachment type is gamophobia. There are commitment issues and there is commitment phobia, known as gamophobia, which is a general intense fear of commitment. People with gamophobia will find it impossible to settle down. This usually stems from a traumatic relationship in the past. Now, in most cases, men might fit this characteristic more than women. Most women, you find it that, they want to be married. Some men, they don't want to settle down. They just have a fear of commitment. They believe it's impossible to settle down. I once again believe that this is a gross lack of integrity and character, and just a weakness and immaturity. At a certain point, it's about becoming a man. You have to commit. If you don't want to commit to a woman, if you don't want to do right by her, and also to honor God, that's a whole nother issue with me, that I because I live my life according to the standard of Jesus Christ and biblical standards, I'm coming from a whole different angle with this. So if you want to be involved in a relationship with the woman, speaking from a male perspective, then you should do it because you're honoring God and you want to have him to be pleased with your actions. So you settling down and saying, no, wait a minute, no, I can't just string this woman along. My goal in getting into a relationship, this building, right? You're building, now you're courting. It should be marriage. If it's not that, I believe that you need to pray that God will be able to keep you single, keep you celibate. You should not be involved in a relational game that could wind up into a sexual relationship and all these things that God reserved for marriage. I wanted to make that clear. So gamophobia is, in essence, is a fear of commitment and settling down, right? Usually stems from a traumatic relationship in the past, and God can heal you of that too. You could have had a horrible divorce, horrible relationship. God is still able to heal you if you turn that over to Him. So, the next area is just talking about discomfort with emotional connection. Some people have a genuine fear of intimacy that stems from their past. They may have felt abandoned by a parent, which prevents them from trusting others in their adulthood and prevents the relationships from progressing. So you're stunted. You're stunted in your emotional growth. That could even happen with a lot of different people, even in marriage. You could be stunted because of something that happened in your past. You felt abandoned by a parent, traumatic relationships, you name it. It's a lot of different reasons that can prevent us from trusting others in adulthood and even in marriage, that prevents a connectedness, right? That your relationship never progresses into anything authentic, because you have to be naked, spiritually, not just physically, but spiritually, to be able to have an authentic emotional connection, which I believe can only come through the power of God. So, now we're going to get into signs of commitment issues. People with commitment issues, whether it's minor, moderate, or a phobia of commitment, will display some of the following. Avoiding conversations about the future. This is a telltale sign. And just say, hypothetically, woman, you have this man that, you're really, really liking, you guys are spending time together. And every time you bring up, okay, where's this relationship going? They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to avoid it. That's a red flag. I would tell you that. That is a red flag. So they're uncomfortable. Anytime your partner talks about the future with you in it, do you try to change the subject on topics like not living together? I'm going to scratch that. Topics like marriage or children come up. I'm not an advocate about people living together unless they are married. Statistics state most people that shack up, that live together prior to marriage, they end up in divorce a lot sooner than the average married couple that has never lived together, because it's like you're testing out the car. You're test driving and say, okay, this car has no value anymore. Or once you get it off the lot, it's depreciating. That's what happens in relationships, to where you're acting like you're married. And so when you get married, you have anything to look forward to. So they always want to try to change the subject when topics like marriage or children come up. Avoiding making plans together. Are you putting off, making plans for the future, engagement, and all those things? That's a telltale sign that's a red flag, that you're avoiding making future plans together. This is a big one. Self-sabotaging. Self-sabotaging in a relationship is when you do certain things consciously or unconsciously that lead to the end of the relationship. It's like you're setting it up for failure, right? So men can do this, women can do this. Oh, is this not working out? It's not you, it's me. And all along, a person with commitment issues, they were looking for a way out, but what drew them in could have been physical. What drew them in could have been something somewhat legit or authentic, but because of the commitment issues, somewhere along the line, or if that person knows that the other person is really serious, right? So let me sabotage this thing, because I don't want this to go any further, because I'm not that serious about this that the other person is, right? So you may, or the other person might, stop responding to plans that you're making, might start acting mean or rude to the other person. Some people cheat on their partners as a form of self-sabotage. All this is an attempt to stop the relationship from going any further. So I hope that you see in these points that I'm making that you see red flags. Don't avoid the red flags. Avoiding emotional intimacy. That's another one. Avoiding emotional intimacy. That's how you really say it. Are you willing to be vulnerable and have deep and honest conversations? Emotional intimacy exists only when we open up and let our guard down. Emotional intimacy is what we need to feel close and connected to someone. Most people that avoid, they don't want commitment, they'll be intimate in some other ways. They might, this is mind-boggling to me. And all of us have been in this category. You can lay down and have sex with somebody, which is one of the greatest forms of intimacy that God gave to us to be reserved for marriage. And that can be done like it's no problem whatsoever. You can lay down and have sex with someone, but you can't be emotionally intimate with them. You can be physically intimate, but not emotionally intimate. That's another red flag. If you have somebody that's in your life and they have no problem laying down, you need to stop laying down with them first of all. You shouldn't be having sex in the first place. That's a whole another situation. So you have to understand what the red flags are. I'm trying to give them to you while I'm trying to help you with your commitment issues. So here's another category, serial dating. Think about how many relationships you've been in and how long they've lasted. People with commitment issues will date someone for a little while and then call it off over something small or maybe even nothing at all. Once out of that relationship, they will start another short-term one. This is a cycle that continues to repeat. That's why you have to be patient with people. Even if you like somebody, be patient. Ask questions. Do you have an integrity chart? Do you have a character chart? Do you have anything within you that you will be able to know, okay, no, this person is not for me because they lack of integrity. Woman, you should be far enough in the game of life and maturity, I hope so, to not be bamboozled or manipulated by some smooth talking man. You should be secure enough within yourself to know that I'll be patient enough to wait, especially if you are a believer in Jesus. That's a whole nother category. So another thing that people do that have commitment issues or want to self-sabotage, they criticize their partner over small things. They start nitpicking their partner, finding fault in otherwise harmless things, make you feel inferior. People with commitment issues will find things about the other person to harp on and blow up into something bigger than it is. An example would be calling them cheap and getting mad at them because they like to save money or criticizing the way they dress. This is a defense mechanism with the goal of being able to point to the other person as the reason why the relationship can't work. That's major. People do that. They want to always try to keep you down a notch or keep you, believing that you need them, you can't do without them, because they want to manipulate you into a non-committal, committed relationship. A non-committal, committed relationship is one that is all about all the other things that we can commit to having sex, we can commit to going out every once in a while, you commit to coming over, cooking for me, cleaning, whatever, but we don't have anything real. There's nothing real. Woman, know the red flags. Man, know the red flags, but it's very rare when it's on the other side of the street. In most cases, the woman has to know the red flags. In almost every case. Now, it could be different sometimes, but in most cases, it's the woman has to know the red flags that's going on with the man. So please understand what I'm saying. So, Talking about red flags, searching for red flags. If you have commitment issues, you might actually create red flags. For example, you might decide that the fact that they don't like to cook is too big of a problem to overcome. Or the type of music you like is too big of a difference. Essentially, you're trying to turn small things into problems that are justifiable for a breakup. So you're looking for reasons, you're looking for an out clause, right? You're looking for a way out. So, not wanting to move to the next level, we've already talked about that. So, when dating or courting, do you call things off around 3 or 4 despite liking the person? Round date 3 or 4 despite liking the person? When in a relationship, are you resistant to doing things like meeting family or just, meeting friends, acquaintance people that are in the circle of the person that you are in a relationship with? That's very important. That's about accountability. If you're resistant of doing family meetings or meeting very close friends, um, that means that the relationship is at a standstill. And so, are you hesitant of titles like boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner? This is where accountability comes in. When you go to the next level, I'm just speaking from me to you. Just say hypothetically, if, you know, say it's my cousin, right? And you want to date or court my cousin, man. And me and my cousin are very close. And so I tell her, you know what? Why don't we why don't we all go out? Let's go bowling, let's go out to eat or whatever. That's a vetting process. If the man that is dating my cousin is very reluctant to do that or whatever, I'm going to tell her, you know what? You might need to reconsider you being involved with this guy because he doesn't want to be around anybody that will be able to see what he's really about. Most men of God, most men that are experienced, most men that are mature, most men that are married, have experience in life, I can see through a whole bunch of stuff. So, I would be a very good person to have someone vetted or checked out that that you're serious about. So, if this man was very reluctant to be around me or around, other men like me or brothers or cousins, that's a big red flag. Okay, how commitment issues affect you? If commitment issues are not dealt with, you can experience the following effects: loneliness, guilt, fear, hopelessness, and depression. Dealing with commitment issues. Commitment issues can rob you of having a happy long-term relationship in which there's a lot to gain. Fortunately, commitment issues don't have to be something you carry with you throughout your life. How to overcome and get over your commitment issues. You have to understand your attachment style. Our attachment style is closely connected to our ability for a successful relationship. If you know your attachment style, you know where your commitment issues come from, and you'll know what you need to work on. Talk about it. See, this is what happens a lot of times, especially with men. A lot of men think that they have it all figured out. Some men are very prideful, especially the older we get. We think, well, I've been there, done that. Can't nobody tell me what to do. That is just so prideful, and it can even be arrogant. Open and honest acknowledgement is necessary for change, not only to ourselves. You have to talk with someone who will be able to help you and to give you a different perspective that you might not be able to understand. Before you can talk about it with your partner, you have to first be open with yourself. Consider why commitment is difficult for you. Another thing I've been talking about, consider therapy. It's not easy to acknowledge uncomfortable feelings or negative parts of our past that we've been suppressing or you've been suppressing, but these are things that are stopping you from committing. A therapist can help you address these things and understand why you've had a fear of commitment. Couples therapy or individual therapy is a way to facilitate hard conversations that you have to deal with or with your partner. I really believe if a couple has decided that they are to marry, right? And they want to take premarital counseling, I think it's an advantage and I would encourage couples therapy. But until that's established, I don't even see why that's necessary. You need individual counseling because couples therapy is for committed couples who have established and they've jointly committed to say we're engaged, right? We are going to get married. We set a date. That's when I believe that, excuse me, the couples therapy is important. Other than that, I really don't believe that it's important because if there's no commitment, there's nothing to talk about, in my opinion. So maybe practice commitment in other areas. Many people with relationship commitment issues have similar issues in other areas of their life. You can work on committing to something outside your relationship first. If you've been wanting to change jobs, learn guitar, or exercise more, face that head on. A therapist can help you with any type of commitment issue. Once you've committed to something, others won't be as hard. A therapist can help you. We can't do it on our own. You can't do it on your own. And I've seen people fail, not only in commitment, but in life because they don't understand that we need help. So reach out for that help. Don't reject it. So you might have to deal with your partner's commitment issues. And I'm going to put a caveat on this that to me is the most important thing after I share what this discusses in dealing with your partner's commitment issues. It can be frustrating and confusing to deal with the partner who has commitment issues. The first thing to realize is that you can't make them commit. They have to want to do that on their own. It's important to have a frank, non-accusatory conversation. Ask them questions so you can start to understand where their commitment issues come from. Now, I would also say this. If you realize that this individual that you might care for greatly cannot commit, my advice to you would be quit. Cut it off. Break it off. Because this person is going to string you along. You're going to wind up having your heart broken, be all frustrated and depressed. And I would also say it's an indication of how you value yourself. If you stay with somebody and they have made it known that they don't want to commit, my question to you would be, do you value yourself? Do you even understand how God sees you? If I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made and God has a plan and a purpose and a hope and a future for my life, it might not be with that other person. There's a song, I don't know if you heard of an artist named Teddy Pendergrass. He wrote back in the day, I think I better let it go because it looks like another love TKO. It's a knockout. Let it go. It might break your heart. You might be frustrated. You might cry over this person for a while. Let them go. You got to do it. Because commitment issues, just what it says here, you can't make them do it. The question you have to ask yourself, why should you have to make them do it? If you have to force a person to commit, or you have to, allow them to manipulate you or belittle yourself, or just put yourself in situations and circumstances that you should know that are not good for you, then you have to answer those questions. Is that the best person for you? And I'm here to tell you, no. Here are some things you can do if your partner has commitment issues. This is subjective right here. Be patient. Try not to rush them or give them a deadline. Give them a deadline. Allow them to take small steps. I'm sorry. I know some people, some friends of mine, I know Um, a woman that went to my church some years ago. She's married, but this person, they were courting for years. He never talked about engagement, nothing. And she started giving him a deadline. The whole relationship, it dissolved. But the point is, you don't give a person an extended time frame to play around with your heart. You got to find out what's going on in this relationship. And it's up to us to be able to ask those questions unapologetically without being afraid. If you value yourself, if you don't value yourself, then you'll be all timid. Well, I'm just here and I love them or they make me feel good or want it because I'm so lonely. You better get over that. So you don't have to rush a person, but give them a deadline. Allow them to take small steps, but within reason. Give them space, okay? All right, try not to overstep. If you see they're making progress, acknowledge it, but don't overwhelm them by checking in too often. Okay, that's still subjective. Because the problem with most people, you don't ask questions from the very beginning. You go head first into this emotional roller coaster. Oh, this person makes me feel so great, and or I feel like I'm gonna fall in love. All of that stuff, that's so immature. And granted, all of us, myself included, years ago, fell into that stuff, being infatuated by somebody. When you grow up and become grown, you start caring about more than that, right? So I'm trying to encourage you, be concerned about more than that. So don't get caught up in that stuff. You might have to overstep. You might have to ask them, hold up, we've been kind of seeing each other for about 3-4 months, and what are your goals with this? What's going on here? You shouldn't even get that deep into, because you should know, because you have goals for your life. If you want to be married, then you're not just occasionally just hooking up with any and everybody. So yes, we have to avoid judging or criticizing people, right? Realize that commitment issues are personal, but we also have to understand that there's an investment going on, right? We have to understand that we're investing with our lives, our time, our emotions, all these things, and also be open that the situation might not work out. But you want to go into the situation with clarity, not being clouded with, being infatuated by a person's looks or what they do. Because me being a musician, I mean, a lot of women are just infatuated by highly skilled musicians. I can't tell you the things I've seen that people that brother right there, if he was not a musician and be very talented, he would not be able to come close to a woman that beautiful. So I'm just telling you. So people get caught up in a lot of different things that they get blinded by things, and it can be very dangerous. So this person or it could be you, who has commitment issues, you may need some professional help. It's okay. Like I stated, through individual or couples therapy, but only couples therapy, I believe, is only reserved for couples that are engaged to be married. If you're not engaged, I believe it's a waste of time. And finally, don't forget your individual needs. You can give this other person, this partner, time to assess and reassess and all this stuff and wondering if they're making progress, but you have to consider if the relationship works for you. Like I stated just a minute ago, you might need to just quit. Just cut bait, cut ties. You don't need to stay in a relationship that's not serving you. Know your worth. Know how valuable that you are. And so, we all go through a lot of different things. So this whole presentation was about commitment issues. I hope that what I shared will help you. If you know you're dealing with that and you're in a relationship now and you're honest with yourself, be honest with yourself. If you know that this is not going anywhere, it's time for you to cut this thing off. I'm speaking to you, brother. Be a man and say, you know what? I'm not going to play with your heart anymore. I'm so sorry that I led you on to believe that it was something more than this. Or I need time to get myself together. I really would like to have a serious relationship with you. I need some counsel because my heart is not right. See, that's when you develop godly character and integrity to where God will be able to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to really work in this man's life to help him to become a man that's dealing in relationships in a way that's glorifying me. See, God will help you if you want to do that. But if you're trying to be a player and playing on women's hearts or being all that kind of stuff, no, you got to stop that. And some women do the same thing these days. I mean, it's like it's hard to fathom that, but it happens with women too. Whatever the case may be, get some help if you need it, some professional help. You can reach out to me. I can counsel you, help you. But the final thing I would say, don't be in denial. If you know it's an issue, deal with it. So I hope that this was a blessing to you. Commitment issues are serious. And if you have these issues, please stop getting into relationships. I'm serious. It is just a cycle that is going to continue to produce some horrible results. So just stop. So I hope this was a blessing. I know God loves you. And I hope that you continue subscribe I'm posting on YouTube and Rumble. I'm going to be very soon. I'm going to be doing like an official podcast. I'm not going to say the name of it because people, they try to steal a lot of things these days. But it's going to be official very soon. I'm very excited about it. So I hope that what I share helps you. Please chime in, comment. I'll see you next time. Amen.